What is up, guys? You are now tuned in to the Casual Wrestling Premium Live Event Preview Experience. I am one of your hosts, the Notorious NerdyD, joined by my co-host of the show and host of the Choppin It Up Podcast, my guy, Milwaukee Mike. What's up, Mike?
What's going on? This is long overdue.
Hell yeah, man. We got to do more stuff like this. This isn't the only thing we're going to do. This is just the start of what we're going to do here. But each month we jump in and preview WWE's live events and get you caught up on what you should know and what to expect. This month is one of the big four, WWE Survivor Series, coming to you from Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. All right, Mike, I want to jump right into the elephant in the room. Me and you have both been cheerleaders for this for a long time. Everybody else is doubting us, but we've been the loud voices in the Discord. After Shinsuke Nakamura's last promo, are you more or less confident that we're getting a CM Punk appearance at Survivor Series?
So I've given this a lot of thought, and I think this is a twofold answer, right?
All right.
Because on one hand, we got the Shinsuke Nakamura promo, but then on the other hand, we had the ending to Raw the other night. So I tried to put those together and try to get my answer out. And I think what I've come up with is this. I believe that if we don't see Shinsuke Nakamura enter the ring at Survivor Series, we may get a CM Punk appearance.
So you flipped. It's not a Shinsuke thing. You're thinking, okay.
Well, I think it's connected.
Okay.
I think what WWE can't do is have Shinsuke Nakamura go out, cut a live promo during Survivor Series, and then potentially CM Punk not show up.
Oh, I agree with that.
I think that's what you can't have happen. So if he's going to show up, I think he needs to just either start the show or he needs to have one of those comebacks where it's just him by himself.
I'm with you 100%.
Come out, get the pop. It's all about him. Hit the ring, cut a promo. And then I think what you can do is have him start building with Shinsuke Nakamura right there in the ring.
I got you. That makes sense. Because here's my question. If this is my problem with everybody, because I see everybody on the internet now jumping on the other side because there wasn't enough definitive information. But if I was Triple H and I was trying to hide this from everybody, this is the exact way you do it. Like this would be, the plan is going according to exactly what you would do if you were Triple H. Nobody has a clue. You have half the people on the internet reporting that he's not showing up. You have the other half saying that they have inside information. But the thing that bothers me is why would they internally hide who Shinsuke Nakamura is talking about to people within the company if it wasn't somebody big enough to matter? That's what I don't get. I agree. If it was Seth Rollins, if it was Randy Orton, if it was any of those, it feels like it wouldn't be a mystery to people within the company. And it feels like nobody knows who it is.
I agree. Yeah, to go off of that, you read all the dirt sheets online and, WWE's, there's no one that knows about this and the talks are dead and it's not going to happen. Don't expect anything. Well, that's the way you would want it to go if it's going to be a big surprise. So,
exactly.
It's one of those things that, since the rumors are starting to come, I've, tried to be humble, but at the same time, I'm done being humble, man. Let's get CM Punk back.
I agree,
Let's
man.
get this thing going.
That's the same way I feel. Why at this point, if you made it this far, why is Triple H now going to start acknowledging rumors to anybody? I just, the gravity of being in Chicago. Now they're announcing that this is the most tickets WWE's ever sold to a Chicago event. It can't be lost on everybody in WWE, the magnitude of when that music hits, how that arena is just going to lose their shit.
And let's get one thing out the way. The arena, the crowd is 100% hijacking the show.
Oh, yes.
There's no way you're getting around that.
The longer it goes without any kind of acknowledgement, here's the other problem. We saw some stuff about AEW. You showed me that stuff about AEW hosting. If CM Punk shows up, let's say he shows up at the beginning of Collision, and people start to get word of that during Survivor Series, they are going to hijack the show.
Absolutely.
That's why I can't imagine WWE taking the chance of if they, like, let's say they know that CM Punk's not a part of the show, it feels like you would get in front of that.
100%.
And you would go, look, this is not happening. Shinsuke is not talking about CM Punk. He may show up on Collision. Don't be disappointed. I really feel like all signs point to I just that Twitter video that was going around where they did it, just the feeling I got from that, I can't imagine sitting here Saturday night. Even if it's just last thing, right? Men's War Games match ends and that music just hits and the place just loses its shit. No explanation. He just walks out on stage, points at Seth Rollins, and we go for, oh man,
I'm falling out of my chair for that.
Oh man,
100%.
The problem is, this is the problem, because we're the casuals. Me and you, we are that audience. If he doesn't fucking show up, I'm going to be no matter how good that show is, there's still going to be a level of he's showing up. He's showing up. I'm convinced.
He's got to.
All right, let's 100%. Talk about the first match that I have written down here, which is Santos Escobar versus Carlito. A match I didn't even think we were going to get. It came fast. But weeks after waiting for the LWO to collapse, we finally have Santos transitioning into the bad guy. I still think he's the good guy of the story. I'm not going to change my position on that. They fucked with him for too long. That's a natural progression for somebody. But let's talk about this match. So I didn't expect to see this match on the card, and my prediction for this match has to be Santos Escobar. I don't know how you turn Santos. You kind of have all the momentum in his favor. I can't see at this point doing anything other than having him win. A Carlito win here doesn't make sense. What I don't know that I understand is we were sold kind of on this being a LWO Civil War. And are people going to align with Santos? That's my question. I don't know.
Yeah. I think my view of this is it was rushed.
Yeah.
It was 100% rushed.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a PLE match, but, nonetheless, we're getting it. I don't believe Carlito benefits from winning.
Yeah, I can't see how. Do you think this was because of Logan? Logan threw his hat into the ring after his boxing match, which then caused them to speed up him grabbing a belt. But then Ray's hurt too, right? So that could have been I agree with you. Yeah, they rushed into this. It was like, wait. Okay, go.
Yep. So, obviously Santos comes away with the win. Where they go direction-wise after this is where I'm going to be curious. But I think for me, this is what, I don't know, I necessarily would say I'd like to see. But if you want to make Santos even more of a heel, which I think that's kind of the route they're trying to go, let's get Zelina involved, right? Let's have some kind of altercation with her where maybe it gets a little physical, right? And now the crowd is kind of like, well, what are you doing to Zelina? And then you start to get Santos built a little bit more with the heel, persona. So I think, Santos wins. Where the LWO goes after this, who knows? It's hard to say, but, I think this is a pretty cut and dry match.
Yeah, see, I was trying to, in my head, figure out were there enough other, like, Mexican-American superstars to build like a rival, to do like a Civil War. You could have Raquel if you wanted to pull someone over who needs something, and then that it does include Zelina. You could do something with Santos forming a secondary group. But I agree that the only way this makes sense is if Santos comes out of this a monster. He's got to position himself on SmackDown as maybe the main heel outside of maybe Lashley, but Lashley's not doing much right now. He's just managing. But yeah, I agree with you that everybody's going to have, this isn't just going to be a Santos Carlito thing. It can't be. No, this is building towards something bigger. And where do you go after that? Because I think I read Ray's out like 2 months.
Yeah, some kind of knee procedure or something.
Yeah, so you're not, this isn't rolling into what we thought with maybe WrestleMania. If this builds all the way to that feels like a long time though to drag. How do you play that out? You can't, there's not enough. I don't know that, who are the other two guys? Joaquin, I always want to say Phoenix, but it's Wild, right? Joaquin Wild, and I don't even know the other guy's name. That's what I'm saying. Exactly, but those matches aren't moving anybody if you do that. So Carlito was the only, I mean, maybe Bad Bunny versus Santos at some point, but still, I don't know. My expectations for this match are, I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll have some moments, but I think it's going to get shortchanged in the time department.
100%.
I think this is the match that suffers from time. I don't think I have it listed first, but I don't think it's going to be the first match simply because this is going to be the kind of time gauge match they use.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Miz and Gunther. This might be the match I'm most excited for because in 2023, I don't remember a Gunther match that I didn't like at this point in time. Against big guys, small guys. Some people, I can look at the opponent and go, oh, that's a matchup I like. But with Gunther, it's everybody. So walk me through your prediction for the Gunther-Miz match.
Sure. So, Gunther is established as quite a monster at this point. He's had great matches. I think I can't remember, like you said, a bad match that Gunther has had, even on TV.
Yeah.
So, Miz is a credible opponent. The face turn, I think, that we got from Miz was interesting. Where I see this match going is Gunther is going to win. And I think we get some kind of Imperium involvement as well, which long term, I think Miz is going to end up getting a rematch on a future Raw at some point. And I think at that point, I think Miz may actually win. And then we get Gunther kind of rotating into Mania season where we can kind of maybe get some hints that, okay, he's the next world title opponent. But I think, Gunther walks away with the win, Imperium gets involved, and there's a rematch down the road.
That's the same way I have it written right here. I see it the exact same way. They haven't done enough at this point to sell me on the Miz winning here. But I agree with you. I think that they've planted the seeds at Ludwig doing something. I think he could get involved, possibly almost cost Gunther the match. And then I agree with you. I think down the line, I think when they finally turn Imperium on each other, he may cost Gunther. I don't think he wins the Intercontinental Championship, but I think he may be the reason. They're going to need a reason to get the belt off of him without Gunther losing clean. And so I think they're planting that seeds. And I think with a little bit more time, they could sell us on like all the accomplishments of the Miz to, as to be the guy. Long term, I don't know what does it really do for the Miz to beat Gunther. I think younger, like someone like Gable would benefit more. But I think from Gunther's standpoint, the Miz's credibility makes sense. It keeps Gunther rolling. I mean, it's all building towards Germany for Gunther.
100%.
That's 100%. That's where he's going to have his big moment. We can talk a little bit about all the overseas premium live events. They're obviously set up for these big moments. That's 100%. What makes them so fun. It was what made Clash at the Castle fun with Drew McIntyre. It's what makes the Saudi events fun. Is they're really kind of set up for one big moment, and Germany's obviously Gunther. You think there's any big swerves in that match outside of Imperium getting involved?
I don't necessarily think so. I think they're going to keep it pretty tight knit. Imperium is going to get involved, and I think that's kind of where
I think so too. I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty straightforward. Let's talk about Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark. To me, this is the most predictable match on the card. I think that if I was betting, this is the match I bet on, and I go all in. If you look top to bottom, it's not worth doing any damage to Rhea Ripley at this point. You've rode this far. You're going to go all the way to WrestleMania with her as champion. She's the biggest thing in women's wrestling. I think there's a lot to look forward to in Zoe Stark. And of course, I'm predicting Rhea Ripley in this match. And I think it's going to be a good match. What I say about Zoe Stark is it's hit and miss. She's going to try some crazy shit. She's going to go. There's going to be 1 to 2 really big spots in this match where she tries some shit that we're either going to, go, oh man, or it's going to go really badly. I just probably when I'm looking from top to bottom, this is the least excited I am for a match. I don't. What could really happen in this match that would surprise us at all? I mean, Zoe will get a couple close falls, but it won't be. They're not going to damage Rhea Ripley.
No, I agree. When I was looking at this match, I kind of predicted it to kind of go similar to how Zelina and Rhea were at Backlash, where Zoe's going to get some moments, and then Rhea's going to show some dominance. Ultimately, Rhea comes out on top. Post-match, maybe there's some kind of involvement. Maybe, Raquel comes out, or Shayna, maybe her next opponent appears.
That's interesting.
Again, I think it's going to be kind of cut and dry. This is maybe another one of those time fillers, unfortunately, which I don't think Rhea should be really involved with. I want to kind of see her in better storylines, but I that's the way I see it going.
And I think that's just the product of War Games, right? Is those two matches are going to eat up an hour each, right? And so everything else that's on that card, you can really stick almost anything on there. And I feel like they think Rhea's due, the internet's talking. She doesn't defend the title enough. So you go, all right, cool. We'll give you something here. And I think you're right. Shayna probably gets involved in the end of this because the reality is, like we said, at this point, now you're just feeding Rhea Ripley victims until you get to WrestleMania. And that's the only point in time where you start to really go, all right, there's a danger of her losing, if it's Becky, if it's Charlotte, if it's Bianca, whoever it is, that's when you start to go, okay, there's real possibilities. But now that we've gotten all the way to Royal Rumble season, it's not Zoe. Raquel's not taking the belt off of her this close to WrestleMania. It's not Shayna. So I'm with you. It's a pretty straightforward match. Maybe Shayna gets involved that sets something up for Royal Rumble, but yeah, I like I said, I expect Zoe's going to try to show out. She's going to try and steal the show. She's going to do one or two things that are either going to go really well. She almost fell off the ropes the other night. That was crazy. Yeah. So she's going to try. It's in her to try something. And I think Rhea's along for that ride. Her and Charlotte did some crazy shit at WrestleMania. So it'll be interesting to see the spots that are in that match. All right, let's talk about the two big ones here. The men's War Games match. Even though I think this is going to be the main event of the show, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about the women last, but this is the match I think most people are most excited for. This is the one that's been building for like 6 months. You talk about long-term storytelling. This is it. The Super Friends have been fighting the Judgment Day for a long time. It was confirmed on Twitter. Randy's back. I had something just want to throw at you. Wild thought here. What if CM Punk attacked Randy Orton before he got to the ring?
I seen that. I seen somebody on Twitter actually mention a similar scenario where Judgment Day jumps Randy.
That's not bad either.
Because maybe he's not necessarily fully cleared to wrestle.
Yeah.
And then CM Punk may be the fifth.
I think it's a long shot, but I gotta look for every avenue to get Punk back in this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what are your predictions for the men's War Games match?
So I've seen a lot of people kind of shit on this match. And
really,
the biggest thing I think I've seen is, well, the pairings of everybody doesn't make sense. And to me, my argument to them is, when you look at each individual person, their stories are all intertwined with one another. They've had history with each other. The build for this has been kind of low-key pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, it's been like months and months of build up and, main events and whatnot. So I'm excited about all the individual storylines within the match. I think what ends up happening is I think the Judgment Day is going to end up winning.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because my big curveball here is we got Randy Orton in the match, right? And we know Randy Orton, he's notorious for turning his back on people. So I see him just going crazy towards the end of the match, or maybe post-match, RKO on all of his teammates. And I think Judgment Day gets the win. Now, where I think this gets interesting is the Money in the Bank briefcase is involved in this match.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the demise of the Judgment Day begins.
Uh-huh.
Judgment Day gets the win. I think they're hyping up Damian to go cash this thing in. He starts to cash it in. And I think Drew McIntyre is going to Claymore the crap out of him and cost him his title.
Interesting.
And I think that's where we get the demise of Judgment Day, which now you have a storyline to kind of carry you through Mania season, the dark days of winter that they have.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I see it going.
Interesting. See, I when I was thinking about this, I didn't think about the briefcase being part of this match. And I think it's key, because I think if you were going to have Seth get cashed in on, this is a fun time to do it. Is there
a fun time?
Is there a way to have Damian cash in successfully, have kind of, the little celebration, have them clear the ring, have Seth still in the ring because he was beat down, and that's when you cue CM Punk's music. I'm going to bring him in at every moment I can here tonight.
Hey, I can see it. I can see it.
I like this match. I haven't loved the Super Friends versus Judgment Day for so long just because I think it's redundant. But the fact that we've made it through all that now you have to see it through. And this is how you do it. So I'm excited for that. But the matchup between each side, I think it works for me, but also the infighting between the teams, like you said, Randy Orton, the Randy Orton Jey Uso thing is going to be interesting. That's definitely, you could see on Jay's face that he wasn't exactly excited about what's going on. I don't know. I think the baby faces win only because WWE does that weird thing where I think, I'll spoil my next one. Damage Control is going to win the women's. I don't know if you talk about sending a fucking crowd home upset. You got both heel teams winning, no CM Punk. This could quickly turn into a bad night for WWE if they play around too much.
Yeah, and I also think an interesting point that I'd like to make is last SmackDown, Cody Rhodes, for some reason, shows up.
That's interesting,
He's talking with Nick Aldis and attacks the Bloodline at the end of the night. So could the Bloodline get involved at the end of this?
That's interesting, too. That's why this is going to be fun, is because I can't, most of the time I feel like, and a lot of times I predict wrong, but sometimes I feel like I have my thumb at least on the pulse of what's going on, but I don't. In the two War Games matches, it's kind of just fun. I'm just guessing.
100%.
So let's talk about the women's. Just a couple weeks ago, I was on my show worried that there was no plan for the women. I was throwing together shit with like Natalya in it, and Triple H swerved us and put together, I think, the perfect women's War Games match. I think Damage Control, to me, I don't want to overreact, but I think it's the best women's faction I've ever seen in pro wrestling that's just, kind of thrown together and already has built-in story elements to it. The Bayley stuff has been good. The fact that Io and Asuka and Kyrie have history, that's all been good. It kind of takes away from the fact that, like, I'm not super happy that Becky is part of this match. But here's my thing. This is what I will say. The level of talent that's in that ring, Becky makes sense. Outside of Shotzi, this is the like heavy hitters of WWE. You got Bianca, you got Charlotte, you got Becky, you got Asuka. I mean, I know Io and Kyrie are going to do some crazy shit because they're not going to be overshadowed by anybody. This is the match that I think is, at the end of the night, we're all going to go, what the hell did we just watch? This is crazy. And I worry, where do you put this match? First? And then you run into that problem of you get that energy and then it just drops.
Yeah, I typical WWE, you would think that this is going to be a first.
Yeah, I mean that almost has to be.
Yeah. Start with a bang. I think you mentioned Damage Control. That's your.
I have Damage Control winning only because the momentum of that group moving forward. I don't know. I guess you could lose and have that cause a split between them, but it just feels like EO needs wins.
Okay, so to kind of piggyback off of your remark on the match itself, I think, again, like the men, there's been stories within this, this match that you can kind of piece together, which makes this thing make sense, right? Mm-hmm. Even with Becky. People were kind of like, oh, well, why put Becky in here? That's kind of a cop-out. Well, I mean, think back to WrestleMania. Becky was involved with Damage Control.
That's true.
And this kind of spurts out just like the men.
I think I just don't like Becky anymore. I think that's my problem, honestly.
Yeah. But, in terms of where I see this match going, I think Damage Control is actually going to lose this match.
Okay.
Reason I say that is because I think Bayley is going to take the pin to lose, which is going to set up her getting kicked out of this, which eventually is going to make Bayley a face, which I've kind of seen rumors on the internet about that happening. And then we get a EO versus Bayley match, which I think Bayley at some point is going to get one more title reign.
I like that. A babyface Bayley title reign would work. I mean, definitely
Absolutely.
would work. I mean, Bayley was
Absolutely.
over when she was babyface. I don't think she necessarily loves it, but my two daughters loved Bayley.
Yeah.
So
we haven't seen a babyface version of this Bayley.
Yeah, exactly. It could be something in between. It doesn't have to go back to the full on over the top babyface. Oh, I like where you went with that now. Now you got me. I'm backing up a little bit. I'm gonna stick with my prediction, but I just don't like it for Io Sky. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I don't like it, because I feel like at a certain point, the conversations are gonna start that what is the title doing on her? Because this whole story could work without the title. So she needs wins, but I think yours makes more sense to actually have Bayley take the pin. Makes sense, and then we show up on SmackDown next week, and that's the end of Bayley. Ooh,
and you could take the title off of Io with Bayley.
That's true.
I guess for me, I don't see why Team Bianca loses, because that does nothing for them. A loss for Damage Control sets up kind of this. Let's separate.
See, that fucks up everything for me, because I agree with you now, which means that now I got to flip my men. Okay. I'm sticking with what I brought to the show, but I think you're right. I'm on your team on that now. All right, let's talk about CM Punk one last time. Because really, he's showing up. He's showing up, right? I'm going into this believing I'm not going to, there was a point today where I thought, all right, it's time to curb expectations. Don't get yourself excited. Don't watch Survivors. I'm going into this believing he's there. I can't. It's too big of a moment in wrestling history. It will be talked about. What is the downside to having him come back? You come back, he acts like a dick, and you get rid of him in 3 months. He's gone. Run him through WrestleMania. Let him get the shit beat out of him for 3 months and get rid. I can't see. I know Jim Cornette and all these people go, WWE doesn't need him, but you don't need a lot of people. Some things are just a luxury.
To me, the revenue that he can bring, the buzz that he brings, the way that he could kind of fill in the gap between now and WrestleMania, the storylines that we can have with him. It's just, we're in Chicago. I mean, what, you going to bring him back at Elimination Chamber? Come on now.
Well, so that's the thing. I see everybody right now on Twitter talking about it's Royal Rumble. What? That makes no sense. That makes absolutely, you're not getting the same moment. I mean, what you just said is exactly right about merchandise. You have a CM Punk shirt that goes on sale, let's just say after Survivor Series ends. It's going to be the highest selling shirt of the year. Because people can say, all these guys, all these IWC can talk all the shit they want. Everybody's going fanboy when he returns. Just because they don't believe it's and
it's like, you bring him back at the Rumble for what? Because he's not winning the Royal Rumble.
It makes no sense. You bring him in to just get eliminated, 11 like he did last time, just to rub it in his face. This is it. I will say this. If it's not now, it's never.
It's never.
It's because it doesn't make sense. I'm like you. You don't bring him back 6 weeks from now after everything's cooled down, because the crowd's going to turn. I truly 100%. Believe. I don't see how they make it through the night. You almost have to start the show with some kind of disclaimer, but then you've sold tickets. There's no doubt that all these extra seats they've opened up in the last couple of weeks, that's based on this. It's not based on Randy Orton. We all love Randy Orton, but you're not selling Chicago tickets based on Randy Orton. You're not selling them based on the quality of the card, because the card is good, but the level of excitement is coming from the men's War Game match is going to be fun. The women's has been set up well. The 3 other matches are just like you said. They're kind of regular matches that are being put on a card. And then it's the mystique of does he or doesn't he?
Yep. And to me, it's like you open up the arena and Randy Orton wasn't rumored until maybe 2-3 weeks ago, maybe? Not even. So, all this happened before Randy was even in the picture. it's got to happen.
I also feel like, I mean, with the talking about the AEW trying to combine the shows and put them, you talk about just running them just as a fuck you to Tony Khan. I pick up the phone and go, all right, I know we might not have been able to get this done, but just show up and we'll figure this out. I have to believe, if I'm Triple H, he played it perfectly. You got us to this point. This is kind of what they did with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Why not? I don't see the downside. I cannot see the downside of this. All right, so overall, where do you think this premium live event, where do you think it's going to, better than WrestleMania, worse than WrestleMania this year? Judging off one of the nights. Because there's a lot of, I will say right now, the hype is WrestleMania level right now from people. I think, go ahead.
Because outside of WrestleMania in LA this past year.
Yeah.
I can't really, was Clash of the Castle, was that before or after WrestleMania?
That was before. That was last year. Because this year we got what? It goes by so fast. No,
Is it Backlash?
We had Crown Jewel. We had Money in the Bank. Backlash.
I feel like
what
Clash of the Castle was.
No, because that was Drew and Roman. That was a whole year ago. What was it? What replaced it? Something just recently.
Well, I guess the fact that we're having this conversation.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
There hasn't been very many good PLEs this year. So I think this is going to be, it's, the 2 War Game matches, which is, our second year kind of getting it unique kind of set up. I think it's going to be fun. I'm saying, I think if all goes the way it is in my head, which is both War Games matches show out, at least one of the 3 matches overperform, and CM Punk comes back, I think it'll be looked at as the best premium live event this year. I do believe that. Even better. WrestleMania as an event, of course, is bigger, but when you look at each night of WrestleMania individually, they weren't as great as maybe I thought they were in the moment. Yeah, I agree.
But this has been the first episode of the Casual Wrestling Premium Live Event Preview Show. I am Notorious NerdyD. That is Milwaukee Mike, and we will be dropping one of these every month. Next month, let's do an award show for the year. Since we don't have a premium live event, let's do an end of the year award show for match of the year, all that stuff. We'll get together. We'll work that out. But make sure to plug your new podcast. When's your new podcast dropping? What we got going on?
Choppin It Up. It's in the works still. Kind of flattening everything, ironing everything out right now. Probably next podcast that we do, I'll drop more info, and it should be kind of rolling by that point. Awesome. But Choppin It Up, keep an eye out for it. Yep.
We'll put it all in the Discord, make sure everybody knows what's going on. I'll be starting all the new content next week because the studio is almost done. I'll give a little tour probably Monday, and then we'll go from there. Other than that, that's all we got, guys. Keep it casual.